we know that there are a lot of variables that go into this, but from year over year, are they at least consistent with how they report on the rankings?
I wish I could say yes. I've kind of given you a broadside look at some of the data that is collected and frankly can be manipulated depending on how a particular institution counts students. But I want to share with you two other pieces of information about the subjectivity that should be concerning. The variable that has consistently held the greatest weight in US News rankings is reputation, institutional reputation. And when you think about it, why not? Don't you want the most reputable to be at the top of the ranking list? Well, how do you measure reputation? I can tell you because I participated. Each year, each institution would get 3 ballots. One would go to the president of the institution, one go to the academic dean of the institution, and one would go to the dean of admission. I got a ballot. And on that ballot was a list of all of the 150 or so schools that were in my category, National Liberal Arts category. And I was asked to rate each one of those schools on a scale of 5 to 1. Now, you think on the surface, yeah, okay, that could be kind of fun. The reality is I'd look over that list and I knew some of those schools really well because I competed with them. And I had my own opinion about how I would rate them and how I would rate my school relative to them. And there were a lot of schools that I knew by reputation, but I didn't have any direct knowledge of them really, so I didn't know how to rate them. And then there were places that I just had never heard of before. And the reality is I was guessing. And over the years that I participated, I simply would try year to year to be consistent in the way I responded with my ratings. And again, this is the kind of thing that general officers at colleges and universities would put their heads together and try to come up with the best assessment. But a little school in Michigan, Alma College, did a little bit of research shortly after US News came out and found that that about 75% of the people who participated in the ratings admitted they didn't know most of the schools they were rating. So talk about subjectivity. And so recently, the folks at US News heard a lot of criticism about this particular part of the rating process, and they decided to expand the pool of individuals who would rate. So they sent out 1,600 ballots to guidance counselors around the country. Now, keep in mind, there are roughly 24,000 high schools around the country. So 1,600 got a ballot, and they were asked to rate colleges on a scale of 5 to 1. And their response to that invitation was terrible. They got barely 30% of the people who got the ballot to respond. Yet at the end, they present reputation as the biggest variable when there's very little real understanding of comparative rating or ranking exhibited by the people who participate. So it's a real sham. And when we talk about subjectivity, the other head turner here is the fact that US News and World Report can guarantee a new outcome every year, not because colleges and universities change in any dramatic fashion year to year, unlike a basketball ranking, but because US News will change the formula that it uses every year. And the pretense of trying to make a better formula by tweaking a question, by tweaking the value that's given to particular metrics, they can guarantee that there will be a different outcome, even though colleges and universities themselves do not change. So just be very careful in terms of how you look at this information. The articles in the ranking guides are obviously going to be very well done and worth your time, but the rankings are complete sham.